Welcome to the latest episode of KapVista Klips. Today we are with Scott and Michael from Konkrd. How are you?
Good, thanks, Daniel. How are you?
Thanks, Daniel.
Awesome. I want to get into this because I'm really interested in the space you're in. For a long time, I believe there's so many industries that are going to get disrupted or made a lot easier and a lot more accessible with AI, and you're in the thick of it. So I'll start by throwing it over to you. Just who are you? Give me your background, your experience, and what got you to this point. Tell us why you're the right people to grow Konkrd.
Thanks. So I might start and then I'll hand to Michael. So about 18 months ago, we pulled the team together. But if you want to go back, Mike and I have known each other personally for many, many years now. And I used to be the CEO and managing director for iSelect, so the online comparison service. Mm-hmm. Mike and I worked together there and I left there in about 2018. We were using a lot of AI back at iSelect and across our whole stack. But after I left there, I've set up a couple of startups. So we had Wilson AI, which is an artificial intelligence company, and a digital marketing agency, Amplifier. And about 2 years ago, in the AI company, we were working with clients in chatbots and built our very first agentic AI framework. And at that point, we realized a lot of the challenges that corporations are having at the moment, where they might do pilots using a large language model, or they're doing an Azure pilot, and they'll get to about 80% accuracy, and then they tend to stall. So they can't get them. They're still hallucinating. They're still having challenges getting the AI to be accurate. In an agentic AI framework, or using AI agents, you break it down you break the workflow of the process into really small parts, and you stop the hallucinations, and you give it really tight controls. And so we saw this at the time, and it was like talking to Yuval, who's part of our team. He's our chief AI officer. I said to Yuval, could we break down policy documents and using they call RAG systems? He was like, yeah, we absolutely can. And that was the aha moment of, well, hang on, things that we were dreaming of back when Mike and I were at iSelect, of being able to help customers understand the fine print. Now with agentic AI, that was the unlock. So we've spent a number of years, many years now, in and around AI in lots of different forms. But 18 months ago, we pulled the team together and launched the journey of building out Konkrd.
Okay, awesome.
Great,
and
thanks,
Michael.
Great, thanks, Daniel. So, Scott and I've known each other for a long time. I guess we've always had a passion around comparison, and I spent almost 8 years at iSelect. I spent some time away from iSelect, and I couldn't actually stop coming back to the problem we couldn't resolve during the time that I was there. So I got an ISA in touch, of course, and so the opportunity was to actually start to address those same problems that we had when I was at iSelect. Very much a customer-centric approach with different tools in the bag. So the advent of AI and how it's moving so quickly really addresses a lot of those problems that we all sort of struggle with for a long period of time. But now it's great that we're in a position where we've actually moved through a number of prototypes, and I'm blown away by what we can actually do from a customer point of view and help our partners as well.
So you've used your experience running iSelect, which is one of Australia's largest comparison sites. So you use the data, the experience to explain what Konkrd is. As if I put my customer hat on, explain it to me as if I'm a customer.
Yeah. So maybe I'll explain it this way, Daniel. When you sit down with an insurance broker, mm-hmm. The broker's job is to help you understand the risk. So you're protecting yourself on a future event, and that's why you take out insurance.
Yep.
And in that, we've got to do a needs analysis. So we need to understand what your personal circumstances needs are. We need to go through that needs analysis, analyze the products, understand which ones match it. And that would be, if you go back to what iSelect to do, you do the analysis and then the comparison, find a product. What a traditional broker, say there might be a business broker, would do is also read all the policy documents, so all the fine print. Mm-hmm. So most of the policies might have 20 to 60 pages, some of them up to 100 plus. And that's what, ultimately a product disclosure statement that the regulators are making all funds publish, or all insurers publish. The lawyers get hold of that. They then put the cast over to make sure that they're protected from the company as appropriate. But then it's in language that the average customer can't understand. And so what we've done essentially is an AI broker. So we've built using AI agents to help you work through in a chat interface where the AI will ask you questions, in this case around health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
It will understand the needs, what product you're on, your hospitals, the extras, how often you use your physio, your massage, optical, dental. Work through income, lifetime health cover loading, so all the things that you would traditionally do. But we've got a system that has all of the health funds, all of their rules, all of the products. There's about 4,000 products in the Australian market. We've pulled in all of the information from the Ombudsman, so they have private health insurance information statements. There's about 1.6 million data fields in that of standardised information. And then every single policy document that goes with that. So the fine print for those 4,000 policies on top of it. And imagine there's a big database where the AI, you can ask it any question. It'll help you understand that fine print and help you understand the policy and what you're covered for, what you're not, and maybe the amount of extras you have to claim. So really, it's like having a broker in your pocket. So it's an AI broker who's an expert in health insurance, except it's a team of brokers. So the AI agents, we have like 23 main agents, but they then have 5 to 10 agents that work them. So like a company, you'd have a team of people. In this case, we've architected teams of AI agents that all work together, and they're specialists in their area. So essentially, that's what we've been building over the last 18 months.
Okay, perfect. So then, you're obviously just starting on health insurance, and then there's a whole scope of other product suites that you can grow out of there. What does it look like over the next 12 months? How do you see it growing? And you've got experience being on that customer side and understand the customer journey. So how do you see it growing? What would you like to achieve? Because I think this is a space that I've said for a long time has to be disrupted. It has to be far more accessible. A lot of people do not understand the policies they're signing up for. Australia is underinsured by a long stretch. So
it's what used to really, if you like, the team that's involved, and a lot of the team are ex-iSelect executives, used to drive us crazy when you'd see customers come in on the wrong product. So they'd be, they might be a 65-year-old female. They're on a policy that is still have pregnancy cover, but they don't have heart or hip replacement, and then they've got a waiting period. So they're on a wrong product, underinsured or not insured, as you referenced.
Yep.
And it's because, when you think about Konkrd, our ultimate vision over the next 12 months, we want to expand out the number of product verticals to manage all of that complex financial services, utility, so the important but boring stuff.
Yeah,
we talk about it being life admin, and it's always on the to-do list. I know I should sort out my life insurance, but I've got something else to do. I know I should look at my mortgage, but it feels like a mountain to climb.
Yeah.
And in reality, there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of documents and stuff you need to read and go through. But with machine learning and AI now, and the AI agents, all of that can be automated. So for us, we sat back and said, when you think about how do you tackle that underinsurance problem, or how do you tackle that inertia of I should do it, but I haven't got time, well, how do we take away all the friction in that process? How do we do all the boring stuff for you? And so we've designed Konkrd really in two ways. There's the advice, and you might call it the traditional comparison. So I'm going to go through and compare my product and then purchase that, so the policy becomes in force. But then we have a digital locker where we store that policy, and you've got another AI agent. You can ask questions of it. So at any point, all of a sudden, you can find your car insurance policy, your health insurance. Whether we've helped the customer or not, we actually want them to upload their data so the AI can help them. Because if your water rates is being uploaded, and the AI notices that it's got a different street address, maybe you've moved house, and you haven't updated your car insurance, and then you've got a problem because car insurance is often postcode risk rated.
Yep.
So for us, in a traditional world, that's pretty hard to be across all that data. Whereas with the AI now, the AI can be across all of it and can help you actually manage those components and make sure you're informed.
So you can say to consumers, hey, you like for me, I sat down and had a look at my health insurance because I wanted to know that I was covered. Like I don't need pregnancy, clearly. I don't need, hip replacement or what mattered to me was, what I needed. And when you go onto the website for NIB or AHM or something like that, they've just got standard policies, and you choose one, and then you do the extras. And I feel, and I've had experience of this because my parents have signed up for a policy, and I said, hey, hold on, you don't need this. Like, so
Yep.
customers can upload their policies, and your system can say, well, hey, this is not actually the right policy for you, and we found five that are better for you and cheaper, or this meets your needs, and it understands that you could need these five extras in the next 5 years. It might be worthwhile, adding them on and actually providing advice, which is highly needed.
I think, Daniel, the other piece with existing comparison as it stands,
Yep.
it's restricted in terms of what the customer can truly see in terms of the options they can look at. The existing models have a skew towards what they can sell, not necessarily what is best for the customer. So our model is a bit, we're out there in terms of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making recommendations to the customer, yes, absolutely, where we have partner relationships, but we're also going to be recommending non-partner products. We want to build trust back in the ecosystem of these really important products. So a key issue in the current is that they don't quite believe they're getting the same deal, the same product, the same breadth of product. We want to be a source where they can actually get a representation of the complete open products for the customer. And we mightn't be able to sell them where we make money today, but that's okay. We're building trust in this ecosystem beyond health insurance. As Scott said, we've got another 11 verticals in the next 5 years. And they're big verticals, they're big industries that are ripe for this sort of service. And they're large in terms of pool, in terms of the commissions that are actually paid currently. So we know we're actually fishing in some pretty valuable categories for the customer, but also some large pools of commission and revenue, which is a big part of how we fuel the financials of our business.
Yeah. So walk me through on how you get paid. Is it just from the commissions? Is it free for a customer to use? Walk me through that.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
So go for it. There's a couple of ways. The way we thought about this is, if you look at some of the other aggregators and intermediaries in the market, a lot of them will charge an upfront sort of acquisition fee.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at all the other product verticals, so insurance around in Australia and around the world, and mortgages, you might be familiar with, it's more of a broker commission. So for us, as Michael touched on before, we're truly trying to be with you and sort out your life admin, a bit of that cradle to grave. How do we come on that journey and work with the customer to make sure they're on the right product? And so therefore the commission model we've set is an upfront acquisition commission, so a percentage of the gross written premium, and then a trailing commission for the life of the customer. And we felt that was important because we brokers and insurers have different roles to play. So a broker's job is to help you understand the risk and work through those questions and maintain the customer relationships. And then the insurer takes the policy on force and the risk under their book. But we know that customers, and take the example you had with your parents before, you only change these products when your life circumstances change. So you might have bought a car, kids are moving out, got married, changing jobs. There's usually a trigger event every 3 to 5 years, because these types of products, although they're super important, they're boring and no one wants to do them.
Yeah.
And therefore, the worry in all of this is when you look at traditional aggregator models, they bring it down to price, and because the customers find it overwhelming and complex, they go to the things that they know.
Yeah.
And if you can flip that and go back to more of a traditional structure, whereas let's make sure we find the right product first, then talk about the price. You've got the right risk and coverage. You're not having products or features that you don't need, and you're matching the ones you do need. And it's then an affordability question for the right price.
Yeah.
So one of the agents we've built is, and it's a first in Australia, is an extras calculator where, and I know this is something Michael's particularly passionate about. You can upload your existing policy. We can then side by side give you that comparison. But we can actually through as you work through with the AI, it asks you how many times do you go to the physiotherapist, how many times do you go to the dentist, and it calculates your extras amount. And based on the policies that the AI is recommending, if you might have one that's another $10 dearer per month, but it's got $5,000 worth of more claimable benefits. So the value conversation comes front and
Yeah.
center, and ultimately that's what you're buying. You're buying an insurance product that at the right time you need to make a claim, you want to know you're covered.
Yeah, perfect. All right. And you're raising capital. Tell us about the raise, how much you're raising, what's it being used for?
Yeah, so we're raising our seed round at the moment. So we're looking to raise $2 million on a $20 million pre-money valuation. We've already secured and locked in just under $500,000 of that. So there's about $1.5 million left. For us, we're building out. We've built health insurance. We're launching in September. What we're now doing is we're moving on to travel, pet, car insurance, and mortgages. We've got a build out of a voice-to-voice application, and then into next year we'll do a loyalty program. So for us, it's marketing, it's extending out the team, and it's extending out the platform. We've spent, the founding team spent the last 18 months building the core agentic AI framework. We've got an app acquisition. Again, you'll have an app that you can download. You can store all your policy documents, etc., in there. And that's a really different model because instead of, you look at an aggregator, they acquire a lead. They flick that lead off to an insurer, and they have to go back out and market and reacquire it. In our case, we acquire the customer, and then we'll talk to you about all the other products. So we don't have that ongoing marketing acquisition cost.
Yeah.
So we get really good leverage in our P&L. We used to have an enormous amount of funds go to marketing when I was back at iSelect and our broker costs. Those two things, we'll still spend a lot of marketing and invest in that, but you're acquiring customers, not leads. And it's a very different economic model.
Yeah, and the lifetime value of the customer increases significantly.
Absolutely. Well, you look in health insurance in Australia, the average lifetime value in the industry is about 9 years. So, if you can get the right customer on the product and then you work with that customer and the insurer as they go through their life stages, you might need to change their product, and that's what we should be doing as a good broker. But ideally, they're staying with, if they're happy with Australian Unity or NAB, you keep them there. You don't need to move them away. You actually, because most customers are generally, unless they've had a bad claim experience, are generally happy with their product insurer. It's more that I need to change my product.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this is a very interesting space, and like I mentioned, it's something that I've come from the insurance space, so I know what it's like, and I've known for a while that something needs to be done to change it because we are heavily underinsured. People don't understand the policies that they're getting into, and it at the end of the day it comes down on price, but it may not be the best policy that they're getting. So what you've built is highly valuable, and it's not just an Australian problem. It's a global problem. I remember reading the stats around the US market, which is 13 times the size of ours, and they're severely underinsured. So this is a global problem. The UK is the same. Canada is the same. So I think this is something that's highly scalable. It is really needed, and it's something that customers will move to. They'll use it.
Yeah, I think to your point around the need globally, we've got plans, and it's part of the investor deck in there that last year we did a market assessment in India because if you look at one of the things that we need is access to the data, being able to make sure we get all the right information. And in Australia, we're moving towards open banking and where customers have the right to their own data and they can give access. The UK is already there, Canada's there, and India's already moved there. Yeah. So there's some really interesting markets that we're looking at internationally after we scale up in Australia. And look, we know Australia well. We've obviously been very experienced in the market and got the relationship with providers and know the regulations really well. We said, let's prove out the model in Australia and then let's expand globally because this is something that is desperately needed. And the AI is absolutely primed for this type of service.
Yeah. And the interesting thing with India is the lifetime value of the customer and the cost of acquisition. The cost of acquisition of a customer is incredibly low, and the scalability is incredibly
Enormous.
high. Yeah, it's enormous. It's enormous. So, okay, I'm not going to keep you for too much longer because I'll let you go here because I know you've got a flight to catch, Scott. But thank you very much for jumping on. Anybody who's watched this episode who wants to find out more, please reach out to my team and we can connect you through to Scott and Michael to have a conversation around Konkrd. But thank you very much for jumping on, guys.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you.